taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sonic roof up. I'm too honest when I take a few shots. They're too toxic, need to take the noose off. And you cannot save me, cause I don't need saving. It's everything I've been chasing, all here for the taking. Don't wanna test your luck with me, I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who are half-nots. You are not as tough as.
You know how this goes. 6 big bouts tonight. We've got a #1 contendership bout for the women's ruby belt in the main event, and a whole lot of other crazy action here tonight. So strap on in as we send it to the ring for tonight's opening bout.
Tracks and some music that you never guess. I don't slack, don't lose, learn your lesson yet. When I get to choose what I do, I'm like a weapon. I'm not sharp as many, but got hard, I'm ready to change.
Well, Switzerland, let the wub-wubs begin as we kick off Breakdown for the final time before Fearless.
The following is scheduled for one fall, making her way to the ring from Columbus, Ohio, Alexa Bliss.
As we start the night off in the women's division, Little Miss Bliss, I believe in her Breakdown debut since being drafted over to the show. And of course, it's a big old night of action with a lot of carnage to fill the night.
And her opponent, representing DIY from Riverside, California, Candice LeRae.
Well, I was immediately thinking, when I heard this music, are we going to get an acid drop from the Poison Pixies song? Considering we let the wub-wubs begin for Bliss, but no, not the case. Instead, it's just Candice LeRae and a very just guitar-heavy riff of an entrance theme. But regardless of that, women's action to kick off the night. And some interesting action, as a matter of fact, because obviously Little Miss Bliss, former Prospects champion, now finds herself here on Breakdown. Couple of titles that could be potentially challenged for as LeRae charges in, fails to connect as we kick off this matchup. Getting back onto the topic of it. When we saw Alexa last, it would have been during Locked In that chamber where she lost the championship to Stephanie Vaquer. I say that was last time. She also competed during the showdown. And it was that interesting storyline that brewed during that tournament where Alexa really couldn't hit that insult to injury, her go-to signature. It's LeRae. Oh! Well, the Poison Pixie with a Poison Rana. Right out of nowhere, really. And that's kind of her first big maneuver of the matchup. Kicks landing now. She gets Bliss up, but like most suplex attempts here in IPW, they go up but do not come down in the favor of the star executing that maneuver. Now, as Bliss stomps away here on to LeRae, we start to see the tempo shifting. Candice to the apron. We're going to go onto the target. Springboards in. This time caught, power bombed, and put down as Little Miss Bliss looks to punish. Capitalize off of LeRae's mistake. She charges in, gets caught. DDT out of the corner. And then the stiff, and I do mean stiff right of Bliss, puts down LeRae. Little miss timing there for Bliss. Launching to the outside where LeRae was nowhere to be seen. But yeah, as we say, the mid-card title scene, which I believe these two will be looking to go towards. Considering the fact, obviously, Bliss a former mid-card champion on Primetime. You gotta think she will try as the insult hits. Here's the injury. That's actually gonna hit this time. Clearly, it just needs to not be in a showdown setting for the maneuver to hit for Bliss, but with Alexa, you gotta feel she'll be trying to go for the Sapphire Championship. Trying to put her name into that division's annals. As LeRae, this time the springboard Hurricane Rana's gonna connect. He catches Bliss. The Poison Pixie. It's time to leave her mark into this matchup. And while I'm talking about Alexa putting her name into the division, LeRae's one of those stars that could show up and make her own impact and get into the World Championship scene for the Sapphire Belt. Remember, Jordan Grace just selected to be in the matchup for the vacant belt after Julia's draft over to Underground, but the other interesting factor for it is that it did leave a massive void as LeRae, Pixie ankle, Poison Pixie though, can't follow it up. Bliss forces her off and comes through, swinging back with her sister Abigail. Down goes LeRae, cover here for Bliss. Ooh. Almost gets the job done here in your opener. Well, the crowd think they're not worthy for this one. But Alexa, she's always a crowd pleaser. Always looking to give them the best show. She calls LeRae to her feet. Candice busted open. Scooped up and planted down in the corner where Alexa ascends to the second turnbuckle. Not going to launch some insult here. Instead, through with a picture-perfect missile dropkick as LeRae crawls to the apron. Kind of making it so Alexa cannot go for the cover. Keeps herself in the matchup. Tries to go down south again, but Alexa catches her. She's going to drop her. Cover for the goddess. 2. Gets it. Big victory here for Alexa Bliss in the final breakdown before Fearless. And obviously, with this weekend's action, it's a 2-night bumper showcase. Underground on Saturday, Fearless on Sunday, and that will be live, the episode of Fearless. Making it into that team could be huge for either
Here is your winner, Alexa Bliss.
or any star here in IPW. Because being able to perform, represent your brand, could potentially skyrocket your chances in your division you're competing in. Well, we're continuing our mid-card mayhem, but not in the women's division. Instead, we're bringing in the chairman to execute his game plan.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring, representing the Culling from Niagara Falls, Canada, weighing in at 223 pounds, Sean Spears.
Sean Spears looks set here to go on Breakdown. Not really been seen as a standout performer here in IPW, but when he's given a chance to perform, you know that he will look to deliver. The mid-card divisions recently all seeing these drastic shifts in the championship scene. The only brand, though, that hasn't in the men's division has been Breakdown. Drew McIntyre has looked phenomenal as champion. There are a lot more stars here now searching for the gold.
And his opponent from Sydney, Australia, weighing in at 204 pounds, Grayson Waller.
Two of which are in this matchup. We've already kind of discussed the chairman a little bit. But Grayson Waller, in IPW terms, in pretty much all his career, he has been a showboat, a showman. And you gotta think that while he's been flashy in execution, it's not earned him success. He's yet to achieve championship glory. But a young career up against the veteran Sean Spears here. A chance to step up and showcase why he deserves to be in the title scene. As Spears misses his senton early, giving Waller some control, but the control's immediately lost and, well, the knees dropped straight into his face. Spears takes over to start this matchup off. Gets Waller up. Could have been looking for that Death Valley to C4. But that's not going to come into play just yet. Fairly early into this matchup, as that is a lot of hang time there for Waller off of that splash. Spears now back in control. Couple of clubbing blows, followed up now with a fireman's carry. Gonna turn it into a little snake eyes. And Waller's staggered. Catches the boot here of Spears and sends Sean crashing into the canvas. But realistically speaking, when we talk about Waller, he has had championship opportunities or qualification opportunities to those styles of bouts, but never been able to capitalize. And now with the fact that Austin Theory, no longer his partner, A-Town Down Under, no longer really a thing, but championships could still come here for Waller, as while I'd say it's pretty difficult to achieve on Breakdown, as a Saito massive execution there from Spears puts the head of Waller into the floor. But back on topic, you can kind of imagine Waller basically getting into the title scene, crashing down as he tries for that leg drop. He falls short. Spears kind of evades it. But yeah, you can see him, I think, as a phenomenal champion if he were to win the belt. The issue is, dethroning Drew McIntyre has been an impossible challenge, except for one occasion where he miraculously lost it to the Sandman. And then, well, he won it back almost immediately. Well, I did say Waller's offense was flashy. That was less flashy and more so just grueling. Spears staggered right now. Waller brought him to his feet, but I've got a feeling he's slightly concussed. As Grayson continuing the punishment against a dazed Spears. He looks to put him away now. Cover onto Sean. Good for a 2. And I'm amazed Sean's able to kick out of that, let alone tell where he is. He finally fires back. Gets Waller up to the fireman's carry. Spin out into the knee. It's game time for Spears. And this looks to be the beginning of the end. A little C4. Down goes Waller. He's close to the ropes. Could make a grab to buy himself safety. But he doesn't need that safety net. Instead, he kicks out. And well, he kicks out again, a little more defiance, as Spears cannot believe that Grayson Waller kicked out of the C4. An explosive finish. Not a finish to this matchup. And it gives Waller this chance to punish. Off the ropes he goes, misses with the drop kick. Spears now back in control. Soup caught, but the second not. Sean connecting and now flies in. Rolling senton fails to land. Waller, however, does not fail on this time of asking the kick down south. And now, his own fireman's carry. Into a Green Bay plunge. Now the cover for Waller. 1. And there's a little quick kick out. Clearly Sean shaking off the effects of that shot to the head. Hitting the metal steps on the outside. But can he shake off the full Grayson Waller effect as a big boot busts him open? Both men bleeding now. Waller with the whip, rolls through, stunner! 1, 2, 3. No. So close, and Waller knows it. He felt the job was done. But Spears, some defiance, makes this matchup continue. Sleeper into the knee. Spears unloads. A stiff left. Dropping Grayson, and now the dirty tactics coming into play here for Spears. Moves the turnbuckle pad. Again, he fails to connect with the rolling senton, and Waller's going to capitalize. Shot after shot landing from the Aussie. And there's another. Line spears up and plants him. With that butterfly bulldog, the cover comes through, good for 2, and the win. Spears made to feel the Grayson Waller effect. And this was a solid performance from Waller. I'm going to say that out the gate in my hypothesis, the conclusive statements of this matchup. Waller rose to the occasion against an extremely talented veteran of the game. He was able to kick out of the finisher of Spears as well, and then fire off this. The stiff right lines up Waller for this little DDT / Bulldog-esque maneuver. It's the flashy offense that gets the job done here for Waller.
Here is your winner, Grayson Waller.
And potentially lines him up as a potential threat to the Amethyst Championship. But for that to happen, we'll have to see what happens at Fearless. It's been a while since we've seen this man. But the former television champions in the house.
The following is a tag team match set for one fall. Introducing first, from Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico, weighing in at 80 kilos, Mr. Iguana.
And well, he's returning in tag team action. Tag team matchup that I think is going to be pretty interesting. Because I've received word from our general manager, Solo Sikoa, that Mr. Iguana and his partner were both asking for an opportunity. And I don't know what that means, you know? Well, he's got an LWO teammate, keeping the Mexican heritage and theming. And that's Cruz del Toro, alongside Mr. Iguana.
Representing the LWO from Cordoba, Veracruz, Mexico, weighing in at 190 pounds, Cruz del Toro.
But as I was saying, usually when stars ask for opportunities, Solo Sikoa grants them it in the worst way imaginable with one of his 2 hitmen. But the issue is for him. Mark Henry and Obafemi were both drafted away from Breakdown. Mark to Underground and Oba to Primetime. So who has Solo got in store for these 2? Well, I have one phrase to say. The hounds are barking here in Basel, Switzerland. And they are gonna be let loose. 'Cause that is not Bron Breakker. That's Big Bronson Reed. Backed up by the big dog.
Accompanied by Paul Heyman at a combined weight of 580 pounds. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. The Vision.
Bron and Bron with Paul Heyman in their corner. The Vision are here and they look hungry. It's been a while since we've seen these two tagging together. In fact, this might be the first time in IPW that they are going to be working together. The Division are a phenomenal unit. And with Paul Heyman in their corner, the guidance from him could lead to some big time success here on Breakdown. Well, let's get going. Mr. Iguana and Bronson Reed starting, but it's immediately a tag out from Big Bronson Reed, and in comes Bron Breakker. Basically get the action going. And immediately, the badass dog launching his offensive. The future tatted on the back of his trunks. And you gotta agree with that sentiment. Breakker seen and probably will become champion here in IPW if given the chance in those title matches. And to be honest, on primetime, Eve Torres certainly saw the talent. She kept putting him in high-profile bouts, but he failed to succeed on his own. And that was without Paul Heyman. That was without Big Bronson Reed. Always falling short. Now, with them in his corner as a roll-up here, referee nowhere to be seen. I think dealing with Paul Heyman's mischief when he removed that turnbuckle pad. But now, back in the game, as Cruz del Toro brought into the picture, but he is brought up and down. Power slam from Breakker. Del Toro charges in, meets Breakker head on, but it's going to be Bron that's going to stop him in his tracks. And now, Snake Eyes into the corner. And welcome to the ring, Big Bronson Reed. Runner-up in the Prospects Cup. Now finds himself in a potential spot where he could go towards Drew McIntyre. And we've said that quite a bit tonight. I see the Vision's Breakker and Reed more as single stars than as a tag team, but when you put them together, they are a destructive force. Breakker outright in this matchup has just been handing a beating to Del Toro and to Mr. Iguana, as there's a Frankensteiner. Cover here for Breakker, off of it. One, quick kick out. Del Toro staying in this, tries to run him, but he keeps failing. A little preemptive on trying to grapple with Breakker, but that's the thing. There's a reason why Del Toro is doing it. As Breakker, he is known for his speed, the agility. So going early usually means the best in this situation, because you're expecting Breakker to be immediately trying to charge at you. Breakker, wise, knows to kind of stagnate his offense, slow it down at times to bring his opponents off kilter, off their natural timings. As that clothesline right on the money drops Mr. Iguana, Del Toro back into the ring. And it's really annoying Breakker, and Breakker's going to make him pay with a long blow. Out go the rib cage of Cruz del Toro, and now he's in trouble. as Mr. Iguana now has to deal with Big Bronson Reed. The Irish Whip. Big Bronson. A little rump shaker in the corner. Gonna toss Mr. Iguana down. And this is Reed starting his big time offensive. Breaker given a lot of chances to perform here in this matchup early. Now it's his partner's turn to bring it to the former television champion, who comes through. Crucifix bomb. Not going to opt for the cover off of it. Instead, looking for something else. Up top. Hanging up. Brings him down, crashing with the bulldog. That's how Mr. Iguana won the television championship, but Big Bronson Reed, he's won stuff here in IPW. And that's one of the maneuvers that he's utilized to get into the winning position. A big kick out there from Mr. Iguana. And yeah, it's important to stress the success that Bronson Reed has had. He was runner-up in the Prospects Cup, losing out to Mr. El Grande Americano in the entire tournament as a running powerbomb puts down Del Toro. Not where he wants to be, in enemy territory. We'll find out if that does Cruz. Takes waist control and up, down, Poison Rana. Gonna spike Reed into the canvas and the cover comes through. Good for two. But Big Bronson Reed still able to fight. And fight he does. Punches connecting, and you can see just on the face of Paul Heyman there, little jubilation that his big man, the heavy hitter, can fight back with an air raid crash. Opts for the cover here. 1, 2, 3. Big air raid crash from Reed to put away Cruz del Toro. And well, it's a good victory here for the Vision. A welcome sight here on Breakdown. And while I do see them more as single stars, potential in the tag division is there for them to really find their footing. But if they want that footing to be dominant,
Here are your winners, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the Vision.
they kind of need to keep it going and potentially beat the team that represents Breakdown at Fearless, Team 3D. There are other teams here on Breakdown, though, that could step into their path, but for that to happen, we need Fearless to happen.
Pledge your allegiance.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring from Glasgow, Scotland, Alba Fire!
Well, this is an interesting sight. Obviously, Primetime currently holds Green and Niven within their ranks as their secret Hervis member of, I guess, International Affairs, Alba Fire. Currently sits here on Breakdown, and it's important to stress this. She is representing a faction that will be at Fearless in that women's tag team battle. They were victorious on primetime this week.
And her opponent from Monterrey, Mexico, Flammer.
Overcoming Rio. That's Io Sky and Rhea Bloody Ripley. And that was kind of a shock affair before we had that absolute carnage of 3 bouts that were classed as matches of the week. I guess you can call primetime this week show of the year, but we turn our attention here to breakdown and women's action. As now we've got Flammer taking to the ring, and she is going back-to-back weeks in terms of action. Last week, a victory over Ren Sinclair. This week, looking to do the same thing over Alba Fire. We saw a lot of interesting things out from Flammer over the past few months. A rising star, to say the least. A phenomenal showcase during the Road to the Showdown. Finishing in 3rd place in the entire tournament, and you got to give a lot of credit to her for that performance. As she now lends a head scissor Hurricane Rana. We know that the skills that Flammer possesses are second to none in terms of aerial offense in the women's division. She lines fire up, charges in, tries for the splash, but Alba evades. She's getting a little stuck here as we tie up once more. And Alba has a slight height advantage, going to use it to great effect here to force Flammer into the corner. And a cheap shot here from Flammer to break out the corner. Gets the Flammer's carry, Wasteland. Connects that, and then the arm across the face of Alba Fire. Forces her into an awkward predicament. Irish whip. Sends Alba to ringside, and Flammer's just going to stand here and watch. Smart from her, really. Gives her time to recover, recuperate, but this won't. The splash going to connect to the outside. And the kick down south. Good work here from Lady Flammer. Just bringing it to Alba Fire. Whip not going to work here for Alba. The second time of asking will return Lady Flammer to the ring, but Flammer's back up quick. Spinning gut kick. And then some follow-up shots, and one of them follow-up shots is just a paintbrushing as bitch slap to the face. And there's some cocky arrogance from Flammer, but she's caught off guard. Irate from Alba, now going to turn it into a powerbomb. But fighting out of that position is Lady Flammer. Runs straight into Alba's offense once again. We know Alba can and will fly, even in a suit. And she executes a springboard dropkick on the mark. She's going to continue the speed, the momentum. She's going to utilize it, but Flammer's back up quick. Irish whip. Launching Alba to the ringside apron, and now we normally call this 10 beats of the ballot, but it's to the back and then a code breaker or backstabber shot, would I say. The backstabber into the back of Alba, and there's a cover here for Lady Flammer. One. Good kick out there by Alba Fire to stay in this. Alba. Paintbrush shot back onto Flammer. And it's just a little jockeying of position. The jostle and the jive. As the splash not going to work here for Lady Flammer. And Alba caught. Gut kick once again. Now on the ropes. Flammer continuing the punishment. Belly to back suplex, but the lights have gone out. Well, brand supremacy is at Fearless. But a secret Hervis look to be reuniting. As that's Piper Niven in the ring, and the chair shot busts open Lady Flammer. Will Primetime have thrown the first shot? And it's against a star that's currently unclear if she would be representing Breakdown. But it is still a shot regardless. And actually, I'm getting word from the general manager, Solo Sikoa. Flammer was and is a representative of the brand for Fearless. So this is just a cheap shot. This is a mugging by Primetime onto a potential star of Breakdown at Fearless. Alba firing off a jawbreaker. Flammer's still got fight in her. Poison Rana. And the deep cover. One. Yeah, Alba's able to kick out of that. She's recuperated off of that flurry of offense, the onslaught that Flammer was building. Thanks to Niven, but this could be bad. Gory bomb in from Alba. And the cover to follow it up. 1, 2. Nerly gets the job done here against Lady Flammer, and that's going to mean Alba's going to fly Swanton, but it meets the knees of Flammer. Alba stagnating the offense of Flammer. Tornado DDT. On target, and now Swanton again. The knees come up. Flammer protects herself. Wheelbarrow stomp. Albert rolling to the ringside, trying to protect herself from the potential follow-up that Lady Flammer would be looking for. Snap vertical suplex, good for her. After returning to the ring. But again, Lady Flammer distracted. This is the Primetime interference working its magic. Niven. We know she's going to be representing Primetime at Fearless. Flammer should be, if she can overcome these odds. Alba was not even in the mix. Wheelbarrow through. Cover for Flammer. Good for the 2. And she's not slowing down. Ascends, drops the axe. Momentum continuing now to ramp up in favor of Lady Flammer. Arm hooked. She's got Alba up for a little Flammer driver. Cover for the win. 1, 2, 3. Primetime through the first shot, but Breakdown blocked it. Thanks to this phenomenal performance from Lady Flammer, overcoming the dire odds. And it was a very good performance by both ladies, let's be honest. Alba able to hit that gory bomb. But the Swantons, though, just were not working out for her. And Flammer, he got the dot.
Here is your winner, Flammer.
She got the job done. And now, 2 for 2 here on Breakdown. And I've got a feeling a title shot could be in her near future. Many men.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, weighing in at 190 pounds, Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, Tyrese 317 with 0 ball game. Set to go to work here tonight. An interesting name to say the least, as well. There go the pyro budget for breakdown tonight. Your co-main event, it's a, I don't know what to call this. It's a celeb star up against a Hall of Fame legend of the game. And that's all that you need to know about this next opponent until you hear the howls and the NWO theme playing. 'Cause it's a bad guy taking to the arena.
Representing the NWO from Miami, Florida, weighing in at 280 pounds, Scott Hall.
The two sweets go up as the bad guy, Scott Hall, an outsider, gets to go and beat up Tyrese Halliburton. I have no clue what this matchup is. Let me re-emphasize that point. It's just some carnage. And I don't know how this will shape up in your co-main event. Halliburton looks set. Bad guy. Composed. And we are underway. We tie things up, and you have to feel the power will always resonate with Hall over Halliburton as the cheap shot comes in. And Scott Hall sets off on his adventure to destroy, I believe, a basketball player. Not gonna lie, I know more about the WNBA than I do the NBA, I believe it's called. Yeah, because MLB is baseball. Spinning discus punch, not going to work there for Hall as Halliburton reverses it, now charges in, lands the splash in the corner and sends Hall crashing down to the canvas. Springboard. Oh! Springboard shooting star. Hello. That got an instant pop out of me. Well, that's the sort of offense that is of a madman, a creator star. Regardless of that, we tie up once more. But this time, the power's not going to work here for Scott Hall. Instead, it's an arm wrench for Halliburton, who turns it into an arm drag takedown. And then a launching shot puts down Scott Hall. Yeah, oh well, 5-knuckle shuffle going to bust open Hall here. Halliburton building some momentum, springboard shooting star, hello, on the money. Cover here, good for the one, but you gotta know, Scott Hall able to kick out of that. Motor City stretch. Or Gargano escape, Halliburton escape. Is this guy from the Motor City? I don't know. Mood stomp. But the lights have gone out again. I don't recognize that song. I recognize the NWO logo. Who was that? Well, whoever it was that had their tune queued up, it's certainly given Scott Hall ample time to recover and go back on the offensive. He's got Halliburton hooked up, looking for it. The Outsiders Edge puts down Halliburton. The cover good for the 2 at least. For Halliburton out, kicking and staving his matchup here. Referee will spot the feet on the ropes. All trying to get cocky, and the cockiness could cost him. The code breaker from Halliburton gets him a cover. 2 count. Back to the apron goes Tyrese. Launches, going for that spear, I believe. Scott Hall just pushes him to the wayside, and you just saw how far Halliburton was propelled off of his maneuver. And the fact it's not going to work for him. You can tell it's giving the bad guy ample time to capitalize and launch a shot onto the apron. Halliburton put down. Continually pummeled here by Scott Hall. The bad guy ascends. It's his turn maybe to get a little bit of flashy, high-flying offense. Launches clothesline. Off the top. The flashiest maneuver of the matchup so far, I guess. That was an awkward landing for Hall. The dropkick, though, will hit its target. It's Halliburton. Toss aside. Return to the ring, though, and now the bad guy putting his stomps in. Modified. I forget the name of the mover. Camel Clutch. That's its name. There's Halliburton springboard. Cody Cutter. Yeah. I guess it's a Hallicutter. Tries to launch off the middle rope. Not going to connect. And now Hall fires off with an ebb and flow DDT. But Halliburton launches himself into Hall. Quickly up. Recovering from that DDT. And now has Hall in the drop zone. Shooting star press. No springing into that one. It's just full perched up top to execute it. And now he unloads. Swinging neck breaker. Halliburton has Scott Hall in a precarious position. Whip. Roll through, but a boot. And Hall's going to bust open Halliburton. Bang! Added insult. The stiff shot to the left side of Halliburton's face. And the bad guy's not done. Halliburton perched up top. Picked up. The bad guy fall away slam. Cover here for Scott Hall. And he gets the job done. You might be a baller in the NBA, but when it comes to IPW, the flashy maneuvers ain't all you need to get the job done. You need true grit, true determination. It was just not there for Halliburton as he falls prey to the bad guy. And while we see these replays unfold, it was a close battle, to be fair. All did get busted open quite early into this matchup, but this just an ending poetic to how this matchup went. Flashiness from Hall, probably his flashiest maneuver, gets the job done.
Here is your winner,
The Avalanche fall away slam gets the job done here in your co-main event for the bad guy. Now it's time for 3 bad girls to battle the potential #1 contendership for the Ruby belt. Well, it's main event time here in Basel. And there's a lot of caution needed for this one.
The following contest is a triple threat match. Making her way to the ring from Orlando, Florida, Naomi.
Because this will be a brawl for the century. 3 top ladies all battling it out for potential #1 contendership to the Ruby Championship. While the hounds barked earlier for Bron Breakker, now they're barking in favor of Naomi as the first star in this matchup. A vicious streak brewing inside of her. One of which that can lead to success. But when there's viciousness, there's also crazy. And crazy is kind of cute.
And her opponents, first from Union City, New Jersey, AJ Lee.
And it always comes with some very, very painful maneuvers. Is AJ Lee here now on Breakdown 2. Prove that she is championship material. As we light it up in your main event. But how about we saddle up? Because it was always going to happen. The title scene always needs
Representing Fatal Influence from Chelsea, Michigan, Fallon Henley.
a fatal influence over it. And the former undisputed Women's World Television Champion. The longest reigning champion in IPW history. She wants the belt. She wants to be a 2-division champion. And whether you like it or not. Well, technically a 3-division champion. Whether you like her or not. No. When she gets into those title opportunities, she is a hard threat to overcome. Your main event, a triple threat match between 3 big stars. It's the first time I think we've seen Fallon in a triple threat match here in IPW where she isn't champion. She never actually defended the belt in a triple threat. It was always a singles matchup. I guess you could class Faction Warfare as a singles match, even though it wasn't, let's be honest. But back on topic. The real conclusive statement here is Fallon's not really been in the hunt for a championship in quite some time. She's never really had to prove herself to be championship material. She's always just held the belt for over a year. Now, as she starts her tenure here on Breakdown, we know that she wants to be champion again. The current top dog, someone she's familiar with, she has beaten before in a championship matchup. So, realistically, if she wins here tonight, you gotta think, after Fearless, when titles start to be defended again, she will be prime position to be the next challenger if she wins this matchup. And that's a big if, because this isn't an easy bout to win. Firstly, a triple threat always has that sort of disadvantage where you do not have to be pinned to lose the match. And with the stars that are in this bout, Naomi, a top star who's not really gotten into the title picture just yet. She's been lurking as a #1 contender for some time. And in all honesty, could have been a star performing in the showdown. But she's yet to achieve success here in IPW. She, in my opinion, deserves a title shot, hence why she's in this matchup. But the only thing that's kind of costing her is consistency and consistent matches. She's yet to really compete week in and week out. She's not had to. And there was a time where Fallon was defending both championships she held every single week, as there's a Black Widow by the third star in this matchup. And before I talk about AJ Lee, a big thing to say is, here in IPW, there is so much storyline around Fallon Henley. It's easy for me to talk about her and the success that she has achieved and the sentiment she's overcome as she hits the famous the cover here now as well onto Naomi. AJ propped up against the ropes. The referee finally into position. The count comes through. Good for 2. Naomi, though, able to kick out. But it's so easy for me to talk about Fallon. She's been at top of the mountain in IPW. She's managed to find so many championship successes. The stars, the names that she's beaten. It's a long list as AJ, big shining wizard, puts down Henley. Naomi is there. And that means that no capitalization for AJ as she's planted into the canvas by Naomi. Anyway, let's talk about AJ Lee. Making her debut quite recently in IPW, like 2-3 months ago. She made the debut. She found herself here. And while she's not really achieved anything, she's had a couple matches here and there that were victories. But other than that, nothing to kind of tell about. That's why I think here on Breakdown, where it is classed as a land of opportunity, where more stars get chances as Fallon launches a kendo into Naomi, here on Breakdown, you just know that the chances will come for those that are patient. And as the great Kobe of esports fame said, the faith shall be rewarded. And that is something that you've got to think you got to have if you're like AJ Lee. Your faith, your performances, same for Naomi. They will be rewarded, and that's what's happening here. The number one contendership bout is Naomi down for the cover, and well, AJ out of position. I saw her get up, but that's all I saw her do. As Fallon really put in a world of hurt onto Naomi. I believe Naomi was also locked up in the Black Widow early in this match. And thus, easy target for the Fatal Influence leader. As here we see it again, 1, the 2, and then the 3.
Here is your winner, Fallon Henley.
And as expected, I guess, Fallon Henley is number 1 contender to Charlotte Flair's Ruby Belt. But that challenge won't come until after Fearless, which is coming up this Sunday. But before that, Saturday night, IPW Underground. It's a big one. The last show before Fearless. I'll see you then.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big